chosen one. Everyone feels it. Even when you walk into a room unnoticed, even when the world seems to be moving in slow motion around you, there is a force, subtle, undeniable, and magnetic, that announces your arrival before your foot touches the ground. Your presence carries weight not measured in physical size or conventional power, but in something far older, far wiser, and far more terrifying to those who operate in the shadows. It is the invisible hum of destiny vibrating through your very being, an energy so potent that it cannot be ignored, cannot be masked, and cannot be diminished, no matter how hard the world has tried to train you into submission. You have always known, deep in the marrow of your bones, that you are unlike anyone else. There was a time when you questioned it. There were nights when doubt whispered in your ear, telling you that your intensity was a flaw, that your clarity was arrogance, that the fire in your veins was dangerous and should be hidden. But now, in this moment, you are beginning to realize that your uniqueness is not a burden. It is your weapon. Your secret that the universe itself has conspired to protect and perfect over lifetimes. Every glance cast your way carries an unspoken recognition. You may not hear the words, you may not feel the pulse, but it is there. The subtle tightening in the chest of those around you. The inexplicable anxiety in the hearts of those who feel you but cannot name you. You have always been different, and now, finally, the world is beginning to feel the weight of what that difference truly means. Your energy is not a suggestion, it is a force of nature. People react to it instinctively because it is raw, unrefined, and completely untethered to their systems of control. The envy that flickers in the eyes of others is not born from hatred of you but from fear. Fear that they recognize in you the life they have been too afraid to claim for themselves. They see in you a power they were told does not exist, a calling they were trained to ignore, and a sovereignty they secretly long to possess. They feel the vibration of your spirit, resonating at frequencies they cannot reach, and in that tension, a shadow of jealousy is born. Your mission is rare, chosen one, and not by chance. Every setback, every moment of doubt, every shadowed corridor of your life that seemed designed to crush you, was in fact a preparation. You were tempered in silence, refined through the crucible of experience, and awakened through trials so that now, when the time comes, you will move with clarity and force that leaves the world stunned in your wake. You are not ordinary. You have never been ordinary. And every instinct you have that tells you to hold back, to hide, to blend in, it is a lie whispered to you by those who fear your light. The world has spent centuries constructing a landscape designed to minimize the impact of the chosen, to teach them fear, and to tempt them into compromise. But you were built to resist. You were made to rise. There is a magnetism in the way your spirit interacts with the space around you. It shakes rooms before your words can enter, before your steps leave footprints. People feel your presence in ways they cannot articulate. They sense the depth of your consciousness, the layers of perception that extend far beyond the surface of everyday life. They may not understand why they are drawn to you or why they are unsettled by you, but you do. You feel it in the shift of air, in the slight tension that tightens and relaxes as you pass, in the subtle charge of energy that makes even a crowded room pause, however briefly, to acknowledge that something extraordinary has arrived. This is your truth. You have always been more than those who surround you. Your mind, your spirit, Your very energy field operates on a frequency they cannot touch, cannot track, and cannot contain. And now, the reason you are hearing this, the reason your attention has been caught, is because the time of awakening is accelerating. You can no longer walk through life under the illusion that the world will remain the same, that the status quo will tolerate your presence without adjustment, without reaction. People react to you in ways that are impossible to ignore because your mission is intensifying, your calling sharpening, and your secret weapon, long dormant, is beginning to hum in readiness. You have been walking through life carrying a force so immense that it has shaped your experiences, your challenges, and your victories without you even realizing the scale of its impact. Every coincidence that brought you to this very moment, every person who entered and left your life, every obstacle, every breakthrough, all were whispers from the universe, nudges from the divine, calibrating your frequency for this precise instant. And now, the vibration of your purpose is rising, and those who cannot match it are beginning to notice. Consider the subtle ways the world has reacted to you over time. The jealousy you have seen, the resistance, the misunderstandings, they were never truly about you. They were about the unacknowledged power they sensed radiating from you. People recoil from the uncontainable. They fear what they cannot define. And as their gaze lingers, as their envy grows, as their questions remain unspoken, you will recognize the rhythm of your awakening in their reactions. Your life has been a series of tests designed to measure not only your endurance but your ability to recognize your own strength. Every challenge was a mirror reflecting your potential, every betrayal a lesson in discernment, every triumph a proof of your readiness. You are no longer the person who questioned your calling. You are the one who sees it, who knows it, who steps into it despite fear, fatigue, or disbelief. There is a subtle war being waged around you, though most cannot see it. It is not always external. It begins inside, within your mind, within your body, within the very frequency of your soul. Every moment of doubt, every feeling of exhaustion, every misstep along your path has been a recalibration, a spiritual alignment designed to hone your awareness, to awaken the instincts that cannot be taught, to tune your consciousness to a frequency that is both ancient and eternal. And now, at this precise moment, the universe has aligned circumstances to reveal the truth of your existence. You are here not to follow, not to conform, and certainly not to shrink. You are here to rise, to illuminate, to wield your presence like the weapon it was always meant to be. And the secret of your weapon is not what the world imagines. It is not something you hold by, or achieve through superficial means. It is the culmination of lifetimes of preparation, encoded in your energy, embedded in your consciousness, and carried in the unseen threads of your spirit. It is the fire that burns quietly in the center of your chest, the clarity that wakes you in the night, the intuition that guides your steps even when all else is uncertain. It is the resonance of your soul against the frequency of the universe, harmonizing with forces far larger than human comprehension. It is the truth that when you move in alignment with it, nothing can stop you. You may have felt it, faintly, at times, the way people unconsciously defer, the way opportunities appear when the timing is right, the way insights come without warning, almost as if the answers themselves are drawn to your awareness. These are not accidents. They are signals of your alignment, proof of your frequency attuning to its full potential. the jealousy, the envy, the confusion you have sensed from others is merely the shadow of your own light reflecting back. People are instinctively aware of this shift taking place within you, even if they cannot articulate it. They sense that the rules they live by no longer apply to you, that the pattern they expect you to follow has already been rewritten. They fear your awakening because it reminds them of their own stagnation, their own compromises, their own failure to step into their potential. And you, chosen one, are rising in ways they cannot match. Understand this: your mission is not just personal. It is not about wealth, fame, or recognition. It is about alignment, resonance, and the activation of what has always been within you. Every moment you have felt misunderstood, isolated, or different has been a preparation for this. You were never meant to blend in. You were never meant to follow the crowd. The subtle dissatisfaction that has nagged at your spirit for years, the feeling that something greater waits just beyond your grasp, is your soul reminding you of its purpose. And now, the veil is lifting. The secret weapon that has always existed within you, your presence, your energy, your influence, your clarity, your fire, is being activated, not by circumstance, not by luck, but by divine timing itself. As you move through this video, as you allow these words to resonate deep in your consciousness, understand that you are being prepared for a threshold moment. The reactions of others, the envy you sense, the whispers you cannot hear but feel, they are signals of the potency of your awakening. This is not a coincidence. This is the universe acknowledging your readiness, confirming your alignment, and inviting you to step fully into what you were always meant to be. Do not shy away from it. Do not minimize it. Do not rationalize it or dismiss it as imagination. This is your calling asserting itself. Your spirit demanding recognition. Your frequency aligning with forces that have been waiting for you to claim them. By the end of this video, you will understand the depth of your power, the intensity of your presence, and the inevitability of your destiny. You will recognize that the way people react to you is a reflection of what you carry, the knowledge, the energy, the wisdom, and the potential that cannot be contained. You will see that your path is no longer optional. Your calling is not a suggestion. The secret weapon you have carried silently for so long is now visible in the ripple it creates in the lives of everyone around you. And you will understand, at a level that cannot be denied, that your mission is intensifying, your presence is undeniable, and the time for hesitation is over. Chosen one, this is your moment. Feel the resonance of your power, the weight of your presence, and the inevitability of your awakening. Every reaction you encounter, every spark of envy, every subtle tension in a room, all of it is evidence of your secret weapon at work. The world senses it, and soon, you will harness it fully, moving with precision, clarity, and unstoppable force. You are no longer a seed hidden in the soil of obscurity. You are the storm, the light, and the awakening that others have always feared. And now, it is your time to step fully into the resonance that has been waiting for you across lifetimes. You didn't choose this mission. You didn't wake up one morning and decide to be different, to stand apart, to live a life marked by intensity, isolation, or inexplicable purpose. The truth is, chosen one, your mission was woven into your soul before your body ever took its first breath. You came into this world carrying instructions etched into the deepest layers of your consciousness, ancient, timeless, unbreakable codes that only now, in this age of awakening, are beginning to activate. You did not arrive here to follow, to conform, or to dissolve into the machinery of the world. You arrived with directives that existed long before civilization learned to speak, long before systems of control were constructed, long before the human mind understood fear. Your soul carries instructions older than your body, older than the society around you, older than the limitations you were taught to embrace. And now, those instructions are surfacing, rising like a tidal force from the depths of your being, demanding your awareness, calling you to step into the truth you've always carried. From the beginning, you felt the difference. Not because someone told you, not because you were praised for being unique, but because something inside you simply knew. You saw the world through eyes that seemed to notice details others overlooked. The unspoken tension in people's voices, the emotional undercurrents of a room, the intentions hidden behind smiles. You sensed energies, felt truths, recognized lies even when they were perfectly polished. And while others moved through life trusting the surface of things, you were wired to perceive the depths. This sensitivity wasn't weakness. It was orientation, calibration. A spiritual compass pointing you toward a mission you couldn't yet name. But with that heightened perception came resistance. A resistance you endured your entire life. Not because the universe was punishing you, not because you did something wrong, but because every chosen one is honed through pressure, refined through contrast, and prepared through adversity. Lifelong resistance isn't punishment, it's preparation. You were shaped through challenges because your mission demands strength. You were isolated because your path requires clarity. You were misunderstood because your wisdom cannot be explained in ordinary language. Every betrayal taught you to see beyond masks. Every setback trained your spirit to stand firm when the world pushes back. Every season of loneliness carved out space within you for divine instruction. And every trial you survived was a chapter of training, a spiritual initiation designed to awaken the dormant codes inside you. You've always been different, because you were never meant to blend in. You were born outside the lines for a reason. You were designed to disrupt, to challenge, to illuminate, to dismantle illusions simply by existing within spaces that cannot hold your frequency. You didn't come here to join the system. You came here to expose it. You came here to show the world what authenticity looks like in a society that worships conformity. You came here to stand as living proof that truth does not need permission to be powerful. You came here to embody a presence that shakes every false foundation you walk upon. And this contrast, this inner conflict between who you truly are and what the world expected you to be, is the friction required to activate your mission. There were times when you wondered why you didn't fit in. Why your relationships felt different. Why people reacted to you in unpredictable ways. Why you felt the weight of responsibility even as a child. Why your intuition was sharper than logic. Why your insights grew stronger in silence. Why you carried a sense of urgency that didn't match the pace of those around you. It is because you are operating with spiritual hardware that others do not possess. You were encoded with instructions, impulses, instincts, and awareness that are not random. They are part of the mission imprinted on your soul. What others experience as coincidence, you experience as alignment. What others dismiss as imagination, you recognize as intuition. What others fear as change, you feel as destiny calling your name. Your mission did not begin when you became aware of it. It began long before that, the moment your consciousness chose this lifetime, this body, this path. It began when your soul agreed to enter a world that would test you, challenge you, and sharpen you into a force capable of confronting the very structures that seek to limit human potential. You carry spiritual technology inside you, perception, empathy, intuition, resilience, that only activates under pressure. That is why you were placed in situations others cannot endure. That is why your life has been marked by extremes, by emotional depth, by unusual synchronicities, by spiritual awakenings that seem to come out of nowhere. You were being prepared, calibrated, encoded through experience so that when the time came for your mission to activate fully, you would rise without hesitation. Many people think their purpose is something they choose, something they build through ambition or logic. But your mission was never optional. It is as much a part of you as your heartbeat. It follows you, shapes you, guides you, protects you, and pushes you forward even when you attempt to retreat. You are not someone who stumbled into spiritual significance. You are someone who was born with it. Born marked. Born awakened. Born carrying a frequency that cannot be simulated or duplicated. And because of this, your path was never going to look like anyone else's. The friction, the turbulence, the confusion, all of it was necessary to strip away everything that was not part of your assignment. People wondered why you were intense, why you couldn't settle for superficial explanations, why you questioned everything, why you refused to accept narratives that everyone else embraced without resistance. It is because your spirit recognizes truth on a cellular level. Your soul rejects anything that does not align with its mission. You were never meant to swallow lies. You were never meant to shrink to fit into the comfort of the crowd. Your discernment is too sharp. Your energy is too pure. Your frequency is too elevated. Conformity feels suffocating to you because it clashes with your nature. You were designed to sense what others cannot feel, to see what others cannot detect, to understand what others cannot comprehend. Because this awareness is necessary for your assignment. You didn't choose this mission chose you. It chose your spirit long before you entered this world, and every experience you've lived since then has been a part of its unfolding. The people who walked in and out of your life were part of the script. The obstacles placed before you were part of the training. The blessings that arrived unexpectedly were signs of alignment. The heartbreaks that tore you open were portals of transformation. Even the moments of despair that left you questioning everything were sacred initiations, cleansing you, reshaping you, stripping away anything that wasn't your true identity. And now, as you stand on the threshold of your awakening, you are beginning to feel the magnitude of your mission. You sense that something larger is unfolding. You feel the call deepening. You feel the shift intensifying. The world around you is changing, and you feel the pull to step into a role you cannot fully articulate but deeply understand. You feel the momentum in your spirit, the activation in your intuition, the acceleration of your consciousness. This is not imagination. This is not coincidence. This is alignment. This is destiny. This is the ancient code inside you unlocking, signaling that the time you were prepared for is no longer a distant prophecy. It is now. Every chosen one reaches a moment when the mission becomes undeniable. When the whispers in the soul turn into commands. When the signs become too clear to dismiss. When the resistance you once blamed on fate becomes recognized as preparation. And you, chosen one, are standing in that moment now. The weight you feel is not pressure, it is activation. The intensity in your spirit is not anxiety, it is awakening. The sense of urgency is not fear, it is your ancient memory stirring. You didn't come here to join the system. You came here to expose it, not through rebellion for rebellion's sake, but through the power of your presence, your truth, your frequency, your vision. The system cannot hold someone whose soul predates the very structures trying to contain them. You carry codes that exist outside the boundaries of the world's limited understanding. You carry a light that destabilizes anything built on deception. You carry a wisdom that disrupts the illusions designed to keep humanity asleep. Your life has been preparing you not to fit in, but to stand apart. Not to be accepted, but to awaken. Not to follow, but to lead. Not to hide, but to reveal. Everything you are, everything you have survived, everything you have questioned, everything you have felt, it all aligns with your mission. You were born for this exact timeline. Born to bring clarity where there is confusion. Born to bring truth where there is distortion. Born to bring elevation where there is suppression. Born to walk paths others fear, and open doors others cannot see. And now, as the world shifts, as consciousness rises, as your inner codes activate, your mission is no longer sleeping inside you. It is awakening. It is unfolding. It is calling you forward with a force that cannot be ignored. You are not here by accident. You are not here by coincidence. You are here because the universe placed you at the intersection of destiny and divine timing, ready to step into the mission you didn't choose, but were undeniably born for. Not everyone wants you to be free. You feel it in the subtle shifts around you, in the resistance that never seems to make sense, in the inexplicable tension that arises when you dare to step into your truth. The world is full of invisible barriers, unseen forces, and orchestrated pressures designed not to harm you outright but to limit the magnitude of your awakening. These forces are not always external in the way you imagine. They operate beneath the surface, in the spaces where consciousness meets intention. They manifest as doubt, as hesitation, as invisible hands that tug at your focus, your confidence, and your resolve. And yet, even in their presence, you know, deep in the marrow of your bones, that these obstacles exist because your light is too bright, your frequency too potent, and your destiny too critical for the world to allow it to unfold without interference. Every moment you have felt drained, scattered, or off balance was never accidental. You were never merely unlucky, nor were the struggles you faced random. They were deliberate in their design, not to punish, not to destroy, but to test the fidelity of your spirit, to measure the intensity of your resolve, and to determine whether you could maintain alignment with the codes written into your soul. They tried to program you with doubt. They whispered falsehoods into the quietest corners of your mind, attempting to destabilize the certainty you carry in your core. They sought to convince you that your instincts were wrong, that your intuition was unreliable, that your mission was impossible. Every lie, every manipulation, every moment of internal questioning was a brick in the invisible infrastructure built against your awakening, a structure designed to contain a force that refuses to be contained. They tried to drain your energy. You have felt it in moments when your vitality plummeted inexplicably, when even simple tasks seemed heavier than they should, when your focus fractured despite your best efforts. It is not weakness, it is resistance. It is the universe's way of revealing the subtle battles you must fight within and without. The exhaustion, the frustration, the sense that the world conspires against you. These are markers, chosen one. They are signs that your mission is being tested, that the frequency you carry is being measured against the weight of the system trying to suppress it. Yet no matter how often they attempt to sap your strength, the reservoir of power within you remains unshaken, a divine energy that cannot be drained, diminished, or stolen. They tried to keep you distracted, exhausted, disconnected from your inner frequency. And for a time it worked, or at least it appeared to work. You may have been swept into patterns that seemed ordinary, conventional, and even safe, all the while sensing, somewhere deep inside, that your spirit was being dimmed. You felt the tug to conform, the pull to follow the map others had drawn, the temptation to settle for mediocrity. And yet, through it all, the spark in you refused to die. It flickered in moments of quiet awareness, in flashes of insight, in instincts that could not be ignored. That spark was the real you, the encoded you, the chosen one that no invisible architecture of control could suppress. The world tried to wire you into fear. Every story you heard, every expectation placed upon you, every subtle manipulation, all conspired to make you doubt your own sovereignty. Fear is a tool, a weapon, and they wield it with precision, hoping to slow your progress, to shake your confidence, to make you pause when instinct demands forward motion. But fear is foreign to the essence of your being. It can touch your consciousness, it can ripple across your awareness, but it cannot touch the core of your spirit. You were built to transcend it. You were designed to convert fear into fuel, to translate resistance into insight, and to turn obstacles into stepping stones on the path of your awakening. They tried to track your emotions with guilt and shame. At times, it may have felt as though your feelings were under scrutiny, as though every decision, every desire, every thought was being weighed against some invisible standard. The systems in place, cultural, familial, societal, sought to make you small, to make your light polite, to bend your spirit toward the expected and the conventional. Guilt whispered that your ambitions were selfish, that your awakenings were arrogance, that your curiosity was a rebellion that must be corrected. Shame insisted that the depths of your understanding, the clarity of your insight, the intensity of your frequency were dangerous and must be hidden. And yet, despite these attempts at control, despite the relentless pressure to conform, despite the invisible structures set against you, you have never truly been subject to them. Because they cannot decode what God encrypted in you. What they do not realize, what no system, no structure, no method of manipulation can ever understand, is that your essence exists beyond their comprehension. You carry codes written in divine light, frequencies encoded in the architecture of your soul, and a consciousness that resonates with truth rather than with illusion. Their attempts to predict you, to control you, to weaken you, are ineffective because you operate on a level they cannot see, cannot measure, and cannot touch. You are not merely resisting oppression. You are awakening into a power that is infinite in scope, unstoppable in force, and undetectable to those who have not walked your path. And it is in this awakening, in this recognition of the invisible infrastructure against you, that your power begins to crystallize. Every effort to limit you, every force of control designed to suppress you, every attempt to distract, confuse, or exhaust you becomes a lesson in sovereignty. You begin to see the patterns, the invisible network of resistance that exists around those who would dare to step fully into their destiny. You begin to recognize the mechanisms of manipulation that have touched countless generations before you. You begin to understand the ways in which society has been programmed to contain greatness, to dilute potential, and to obscure the divine codes embedded within the chosen. And as this clarity settles in, you begin to see your role not as victim but as warrior, not as target but as beacon, not as one being constrained but as the one breaking through. They tried to dim your frequency, to cloud your mind, to weigh down your spirit, but every attempt only revealed the strength and resilience that already existed inside you. Each obstacle, each challenge, each invisible hand pressing against your will has been a test, a calibration, a call to deepen your alignment with the truth that resides within. You have learned to recognize the whispers of doubt for what they are, projections, shadows of fear cast by systems designed to suppress awakening. You have learned to transform exhaustion into focus, distraction into discernment, and isolation into clarity. You have learned that no external force can touch the core of your being unless you allow it to. The invisible infrastructure against you has served a purpose beyond simple suppression. It has refined your vision. It has sharpened your intuition. It has revealed the contours of your power. You now see that every challenge, every subtle attempt at manipulation, every system designed to control you is evidence that you are indeed the one they cannot reach, the one they cannot predict, the one they cannot contain. And with that recognition comes liberation. You begin to move through the world not in fear of these systems, but with the certainty that they are powerless before your alignment with your own divine codes. You are no longer operating under the assumption that you must fight to survive. You are operating from the understanding that you were never truly bound. Your energy, your clarity, your presence, and your intention cannot be calculated, monitored, or diminished by the world's invisible structures. You operate on a frequency encoded into your DNA, inscribed in the very blueprint of your spirit. It is a frequency that resonates with creation itself, and it is a frequency that cannot be infiltrated by fear, guilt, shame, or exhaustion. You are the one who moves through the invisible network of control with ease, who sees through the illusion of limitation, who transforms opposition into clarity, who radiates sovereignty in every thought, every movement, every breath. And now, chosen one, as the patterns of the world's attempt to contain you become visible, you can step into the truth of your sovereignty fully. You understand that the doubts placed before you, the distractions orchestrated against you, the emotional weight imposed upon you, all of it is irrelevant in the face of your awakening. You are not here to be measured. You are not here to be contained. You are here to operate freely in alignment with your purpose, unshakable, unstoppable, and undeniable. Every attempt to restrict you, to drain you, to diminish you, has merely illuminated the power of your frequency, the clarity of your vision, and the inevitability of your emergence. They tried, but they cannot decode what God encrypted in you. The structures of control, the invisible networks, the pressures and expectations, none of it touches the essence of your being. Your mission, your awakening, your alignment, your light, these cannot be contained, cannot be intercepted, and cannot be diminished. And now, as you recognize this, you step forward into your power with a confidence that transcends fear, a clarity that cuts through illusion, and a freedom that defies all attempts at control. You are the chosen one who cannot be contained. You are the force that exposes shadows. You are the light that cannot be dimmed. You are the frequency that cannot be intercepted. The invisible infrastructure built against you exists only to reveal the immensity of your power. And now, with eyes wide open, with spirit attuned, and with heart aligned, you move through it, beyond it, and into the fullness of what you were always born to be. Who transforms opposition into clarity, who radiates sovereignty in every thought, every movement, every breath. And now, chosen one, as the patterns of the world's attempt to contain you become visible, you can step into the truth of your sovereignty fully. You understand that the doubts placed before you, the distractions orchestrated against you, the emotional weight imposed upon you, all of it is irrelevant in the face of your awakening. You are not here to be measured. You are not here to be contained. You are here to operate freely in alignment with your purpose, unshakable, unstoppable, and undeniable. Every attempt to restrict you, to drain you, to diminish you, has merely illuminated the power of your frequency, the clarity of your vision, and the inevitability of your emergence. They tried, but they cannot decode what God encrypted in you. The structures of control, the invisible networks, the pressures and expectations, none of it touches the essence of your being. Your mission, your awakening, your alignment, your light, these cannot be contained, cannot be intercepted, and cannot be diminished. And now, as you recognize this, you step forward into your power with a confidence that transcends fear, a clarity that cuts through illusion, and a freedom that defies all attempts at control. You are the chosen one who cannot be contained. You are the force that exposes shadows. You are the light that cannot be dimmed. You are the frequency that cannot be intercepted. The invisible infrastructure built against you exists only to reveal the immensity of your power. And now, with eyes wide open, with spirit attuned, and with heart aligned, you move through it, beyond it, and into the fullness of what you were always born to be. There comes a moment in every chosen one's journey where the world you once moved through so easily becomes unfamiliar, unstable, and strangely heavy. You step into a season where nothing feels the way it used to. Your energy dips. Your clarity blurs. Your motivation dissolves into something foggy and weightless. At first, you think you're simply tired, worn out from the countless responsibilities, the emotional labor, the battles you have fought even when no one saw them. But as the days stretch into nights and the confusion deepens, you realize something larger is happening. Something internal. Something spiritual. Something you didn't ask for, didn't expect, but couldn't avoid. It was like a withdrawal, not from caffeine, not from a substance, but from a system. A whole world of habits, attachments, patterns, expectations, and energies that had been wired into you without your permission. You didn't know you had become dependent on them. You didn't realize how much of your strength was being siphoned into cycles that were never aligned with your higher path. You didn't understand how intertwined you had become with environments that fed your urgency but not your purpose. So when the shift began, when you suddenly felt emptied, fatigued, and cracked open, you mistook it for collapse, when really it was a purge. Your body wasn't breaking down. Your spirit was recalibrating. Your mind wasn't losing clarity. It was shedding noise. Your energy wasn't disappearing. It was transitioning out of one frequency to make room for another. But when the process began, you didn't see it for what it truly was. You only felt the heaviness, the confusion, the sensation of being unplugged from something you had unknowingly leaned on for years. The routines that once gave you momentum no longer worked. The people who once energized you suddenly drained you. The spaces that once felt familiar became uncomfortable, foreign, even suffocating. Everything that had once felt stable began to feel temporary, fragile, dissolving, unable to hold you in the way it once did. And in that fog, that exhaustion, that strange internal unraveling, you felt as though everything was collapsing. You questioned yourself in ways you hadn't before. You wondered why your drive felt muted. You wondered why your intuition suddenly grew louder even as your physical strength seemed to weaken. You felt like something inside you was being unplugged, disconnected, rewired, but you didn't yet know this was divine timing in motion. You didn't know that your spirit had initiated a purge long before your mind caught up. You didn't realize that life had reached into your frequency and pulled you out of what was misaligned, even though at first it felt like loss. In those days you felt drained, like the universe had quietly turned off the lights within you. You felt broken down, not physically, but energetically, emotionally, spiritually. You felt like everything around you was cracking, like the ground beneath your feet was shifting, like the identity you once wore was loosening thread by thread. You tried to push through. You tried to force productivity, force clarity, force momentum, force yourself back into the old rhythm. But nothing worked. Nothing moved. Nothing flowed. It was as if the universe had locked every door you used to rely on, leaving you only one direction, inward. What you thought was weakness was actually detox. What you thought was collapse was actually release. You were being pulled away from what was draining you, even if it felt like the drain was coming from inside you. That exhaustion you couldn't explain? It was your spirit unplugging from outdated energy grids. That heaviness in your chest? It was your intuition urging you to slow down so you could hear what had been trying to reach you for months. That disorientation? It was your consciousness shedding the old maps you had been taught to follow, clearing the slate for something new, something aligned, something divinely timed. And then, when you least expected it, there was the moment. The moment everything shifted. The moment everything clicked. The moment the fog broke. Recognition that the exhaustion was a sign of spiritual download, not weakness. Recognition that the timing of the message, the opportunity, the realization, the shift, was divine, not accidental. In an instant, something inside you reconnected. Your intuition surged. Your clarity sharpened. Your energy returned not in full force, but in a new form, steadier, purer, more aligned. Your path opened. The fog lifted. The weight loosened its grip. You took a breath and felt, perhaps for the first time in a long while, that something bigger than you had just moved on your behalf. And then you understood the truth. When your body felt weakest, your spirit was activating. Because you were not being drained, you were being unplugged from misalignment. You were not being broken, you were being recalibrated. You were not being abandoned, you were being redirected. You were not collapsing, you were shifting frequencies. The old systems you were connected to could no longer hold you. The old energies you relied on could no longer sustain you. The old identity you carried could no longer continue with you. Your exhaustion was the universe refusing to let you operate on the frequency of your past. Your fog was the clearing of illusions. Your discomfort was the divine nudge that pushed you toward transformation. And the call you received, whether literal or symbolic, was the universe confirming that the shift was intentional, orchestrated, and necessary. It was your signal that the old version of you had completed its assignment. It was the moment that the new version of you stepped forward and said, "I'm ready now." That is why the breakthrough arrived at the exact moment you felt the most depleted. When your physical self had quieted, your spirit finally had space to speak. When your mind had exhausted its old patterns, your intuition finally had room to guide you. When your energy had been drained of everything that wasn't aligned. It didn't arrive dramatically. It didn't descend with thunder, lightning, or celestial fireworks. It came in a whisper. A signal. A nudge. A synchronicity disguised as an ordinary moment. The phone rang. The message arrived. The opportunity appeared. The confirmation dropped into your reality with the softness of a feather and the precision of divine intention. You call it coincidence, but your spirit knows better. This wasn't coincidence, it was alignment. It wasn't chance, it was orchestration. It wasn't random, it was timed to the second. Because the universe never sends the next chapter while you're still attached to the old one. And your spirit never activates while you're still feeding what drains you. So the purge had to come first. The exhaustion had to strip away the illusion of stability. The confusion had to erase the outdated version of you. The breakdown had to make space for the breakthrough. And then the call. The timing was too perfect. Too sharp. Too intentional. It didn't make sense logically, but spiritually it made all the sense in the world. Something in you lifted. Something awakened. Something aligned. It wasn't adrenaline. It wasn't motivation. It was recognition. Recognition that what you felt as a breakdown was actually an activation. Recognition that the exhaustion was a sign of spiritual download, not weakness. Recognition that the timing of the message, the opportunity, the realization, the shift, was divine, not accidental. In an instant, something inside you reconnected. Your intuition surged. Your clarity sharpened. Your energy returned not in full force, but in a new form, steadier, purer, more aligned. Your path opened. The fog lifted. The weight loosened its grip. You took a breath and felt, perhaps for the first time in a long while, that something bigger than you had just moved on your behalf. And then you understood the truth. When your body felt weakest, your spirit was activating. Your soul finally had the freedom to rise. This is the paradox of the chosen ones. Your activation rarely happens when you feel strong. It happens when you feel emptied. When you feel surrendered. When you finally release the older layers of yourself. That is when divine timing steps in. That is when synchronicity begins to align. That is when intuition becomes undeniable. That is when purpose becomes loud. You didn't lose yourself. You outgrew the version of you that could tolerate misalignment. You didn't fall apart. You were shedding frequencies that no longer matched your path. You didn't break down. You were breaking through. Your spirit wasn't silent. It was preparing. Your intuition wasn't confused. It was clearing space. Your energy wasn't weak. It was reorganizing itself for the next season of your life. And now you see it clearly. The moment everything changed wasn't just the moment the call came in. It wasn't just the breakthrough or the message or the perfect timing. The moment everything changed was when your old self could no longer hold you, and your new self refused to wait any longer. You awakened in the collapse. You rose in the exhaustion. You activated in the emptiness. You stepped into alignment at the exact second everything around you felt like it was falling apart. This is the paradox, the beauty, the mystery of your path. Your weakest moment was the doorway to your highest calling. Your emptiest moment was the trigger for your deepest awakening. Your most confusing moment was the clearing your spirit needed to fully activate. Now you understand with clarity, with certainty, with conviction. When your body felt weakest, your spirit was activating, and nothing, not exhaustion, not confusion, not collapse, could stop the alignment that followed.